Welcome to my Accent is No Accident podcast. I'm your host, Maritza Perez. We are here today with a woman whose purpose is to empower other women who wear many hats to discover our authentic self. She is Sandi Warren, or Coach Sandi. Coach Sandi is the hat she wears. Her experiences in life and her training bring her to this season in life. Change and transformation comes to all of us, bidden or not, invited or resisted. Her mission is to empower women. Her goal is for them to build confidence, reduce stress, find the goddess within themselves, and celebrate a joyful life. Change and transformations come to all of us, bidden or not, invited or resisted. Welcome, Coach Sandi. It is an honor, a pleasure to have you today with us.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you and your professional steps to bring me to this place to share, and I definitely appreciate that and celebrate what you do for diversity and for expanding all of us.
Thank you so much, Sandi. And then before we start with our conversation, I always like to ask our theme question. Sandi, what is your accent and why is not an accident?
Well, I think many things in life are definitely not an accident. I think the universe has a big plan for us. And my accent is and has been the consistency of believing in women. And I believe that women are the foundation for certainly families, but also more and more being recognized for our leadership skills. So that is my consistent accent. I've had a few additional accents to flavor it along the way, but I think that's been always the consistent.
I love that because you have a different approach than many other life coaches and business coaches. I love the way you are talking about women, how we all wear many hats, and although we know how to manage all these hats, all of them, and change them and exchange them, there are times when a woman feels that is doing it all, but they are about to break.
True.
So let's talk about a little about those feelings of a woman from your experience. What is that drives things, and what is that drives women to go this far?
Well, that's no small question. And I think that really kind of opens the door to the hats come to us, some of them by expectation, whether it's mom, whether it's grandmom, whether it's teachers, society in general. And as those hats come to us, I think that we just know that we're supposed to wear them all. And it's only through maybe a little age, maybe a little wisdom, some discernment, that we start to look at all that we do. And we especially look at that when we're feeling unappreciated, overwhelmed, and often guilty, sadly. And so when we start to evaluate the big picture of why we wear all those hats, that's when we can decide whether a hat fits or not, and give ourselves permission to maybe not wear one or two. But I think that takes a little time and growth and maturity and experience.
And what you're saying is so important because I think that we keep on going until like we break, like I was saying, until we break or we just our body cannot do it anymore. Our mental health gets also a little civil. So it is important to recognize those moments when we are like, okay, I cannot do it all, and I'm just not going to put this hat today. Um, and many of us have support systems, whether it's the family, friends, or the husbands. So, what support systems are important, especially for, like, let's say, a single parent, a single mom?
Well, I can speak to that since I was for 20 years, as you know. And I seriously had to learn to ask for help. And I think that's something we women don't do innately. We want to carry it all. So we are often our own worst enemy. We think that we have the resilience to just get up and do it again. And so we keep picking up the same hat, the same mantle, or all of the hats. So recognizing that asking for help is not a weakness, it really can empower us. And the other beautiful thing that we rarely look at is that someone else actually wants to help us. And so that allows them to give the gift of help. So when we don't ask for help, they oftentimes won't offer it because they feel like, well, I'll embarrass her, or it'll make her feel like she's less than if I offer help. And so I think we have to get clear that asking for help is is important. I have this theory that life is a big circle. And sometimes we're on top of that circle, and it's our job to reach out and help another woman, reach out that helping hand, open that door. And then sometimes and we do that well. But when we're at the bottom of the circle, we don't do that so well. We
Yeah,
don't ask for the help. We don't say, I'm drowning here. And it doesn't show up until our health um, becomes an issue, or we decide that I'm very sad about how many women are taking antidepressant medications and what the statistics are showing, especially after 2020. And And I'm also very disturbed that that mental health word is held in questionable status. So I think we need to grow beyond that and realize that mental health is the healthy side of our mentality. And we can be open about it, and we can celebrate that, we are mentally capable, which makes us emotionally capable. And then we have the energy to wear more of those hats. But if we try and hide it, it just what we deny, we can't fix. If we don't see it, we can't step into the solution.
exactly. And mental health, unfortunately, is kind of like an invisible disease. Nobody knows until the person is extremely bad or drowning, like you're saying, like down in the bottom. And using the support systems like friends, um, and in many occasions, if your children are small, the other moms from the school are very, very open
Mm-hmm.
to understand other moms because we are all in the same boat, whether if they are single parents or not. And I'm not going to say that everybody's going to be in that boat, but everybody's going to understand, and the majority are going to understand and say yes.
I
Um,
agree. And to that point, single parents are not necessarily divorced or widowed. There are women who are doing it all because the breadwinner is off, working, traveling, not at home. So even if a woman is married, she may still feel like a single mom. And that's valid.
Yes, exactly. And then if you don't have family close by, like what happened to me, I didn't have family close by. My whole family is in Colombia, and my sister was like miles and miles away. So you can just look for moms groups. They're all over the place. Meetup is one of the places where you can find moms groups, and I have friendships that have lasted a lifetime from those moms groups where I mean, we have been since our kids were born.
Yes, yes. And I think it's important to also recognize that going into some kind of women's group, whether it's professional, whether it's meetup, it is, I think, invaluable to also have different wisdom groups. Age is certainly one way to gain wisdom, but sometimes trauma is another way to gain wisdom. So if we can keep ourselves open to different women coming to find support and to give support, we can kind of maybe make things a little bit more equitable for everyone. And to step away from judgments. Judgments come in all forms. Certainly, you've addressed that, but they can also be subtle. When somebody has gone through trauma, we need to be careful not to judge. I wouldn't have done that, or how I would have taken care differently. We need to just use empathy. Empathy is one of the most powerful in empowering emotions.
Yes, yes, and throughout the years that a woman goes through different phases. When your kids, and when your kids are small, then they grow up, they go to teenage times, and then, but the woman also is growing in the career and what they're doing, getting ahead. Um, then now the kids are going to college, but now they have more responsibilities. They might have an empty nest, but they have more responsibilities in their job, and then come back and they are alone at home,
Hmm.
which is a mid-season that
Right.
you love to talk about. So explain to us, how is that change in the mid-season of a woman?
I love that you used mid-season. When I was in a coaching program, one of the coaches said, I don't know that I understand mid-season. And she was clearly in mid-season. And so when I started to dive down into what mid-season is and how I see other women going through it, it was the cutest thing, because all of a sudden she had a light bulb moment and she said, oh, that's me. And I think that is indicative of sometimes we're so caught with blinders almost on, that we're doing this for that person, we're doing this for that person, we're holding this together for that group, and we don't look at ourselves. And so that's what I want to help women to do, because you cannot fix what you don't see. And so when we look at ourselves and we get honest with ourselves, we don't tell ourselves the stories that are going to make us popular or keep other people comfortable or have them continue to like us. And I think some of those things are a very big part of what we call mission, because we have gained some wisdom and we're learning, and it is a process, we're learning self-care is not selfish, because we cannot wear all those hats. We cannot be there for all the people that we love and care about if we are not healthy. And so self-care is self-health. And I
Exactly.
think that's where we need to grant ourselves some grace.
And I love that. So basically, what the mid season is when we are starting to realize that we need different care. We're not like if we bend the wrong way, it's gonna hurt. But at the same time, our mental state, if we bend certain way, is gonna hurt. It's not only, and if we stretch so much, we're gonna break. But we are still the support for our families. The support now, sometimes it changed from your children to your
Mm-hmm.
elderly family members, which I say family members because not always is your mom and dad. It can be an aunt or an uncle, or uh, your step, uh, your parents-in-law, or
Right.
any other elderly um, family member. So um, we need to be in the best shape mentally, like you were saying, mentally and physically, to
Mm-hmm.
be able to get to that state. But also, there is something very important here too, and is also as professionals. And that mid season usually is when you get the big jobs, the big jumps in the career, because you have all this wisdom, all this experience. And then people are looking at you as what you were saying, someone with wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
someone.
Well, it's interesting. Balance is a word that I chased, especially during those years when my children were young and then teenage years. And I had a daughter and a son, and very different personalities. So as I'm trying to develop and grow in my own self, I'm also trying to show up with the consistency that my son needed, but the diversity and the continuous activity that my daughter needed. And so the word balance drove me nutty for several years, probably more than several years. It was so elusive. And I constantly felt that I was not doing well. I couldn't find the balance. And it was only with the passing of some time that I'm now able to, and I have been for a while, and I hope other women will get there sooner, to see there is no such thing. There just isn't. We're never in balance. We're always, it's the seesaw of life. And we need to enjoy that seesaw and kind of celebrate, which is the other thing that women don't do extraordinarily well. Once we finish a task, what is the next thing that we do?
Look for something else too.
Exactly. What's the next task? What can I thought it was such a wonderful trait of mine to make lists and then draw a line through it or check it off. And so sometimes I would write it down just so I could check it off again, because it gave me this feeling of accomplishment. But then I came to realize that, being able to do the things that are not on the list, which is to smile, to offer somebody a cup of tea, to sit and listen to a friend. And to your point is very, very valid. Family is not always family. Family can be a best friend that has been like family for you, that has showed up for you over the years, that's taken the child who I remember clearly. A neighbor of mine was a nurse, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, I called her and I said, I think my son's having an asthma attack. Is that what this is? And it's those kinds of things that we women can show up for each other. And that is a moment. Not his asthma attack isn't a moment to celebrate, but her showing up was definitely a moment to celebrate and to let her know how valuable that was to me. So I think
Mhm.
we can do that for each other as women, to remind each other, let's just take a breath.
Yeah.
And to your point, I love the visual that you used about bending and being worried to break, because as a yoga instructor, I'm now teaching about 4 to 5 classes a week. And you know what that does for me? It makes me show up. I will always show up for my students. I might not always show up for myself. And that's why I think it's important to be in a group, whether it's a yoga group or whether it's a meditation group or whether it's a book club, whether it's mahjong, whatever it is. When we come together collectively as women, we empower each other.
Yes, exactly. And then I believe that this opens the door to talk about how things are shifting now. We didn't used to be that supportive. There were some women that were like it started in the 60s, but it was very allocated, it was not everybody. But now women are sticking together more and more, which is beautiful because we needed that. And
Mhm.
that's actually what we are meant to do.
We are seeing more feminine energy in the universe. And I think that it's very important that we, as I said before, that we don't judge each other. I know when I was divorcing, I was the first divorced woman I knew. Obviously, this was a bunch of years ago. And I was then the first single parent that I knew. And became very clear how I was judged. I lived in a home in a two-family kind of neighborhood, and it was quickly clear to me who was not going to probably show up for me, and probably who would. But I do agree. I think we have grown past a lot of that judgment. Certainly not all of it. And we're not Pollyannas here, and it's not all rosebuds and unicorns. But I think we are doing better.
Hi, I'm very happy to know you are here watching our podcast today. It is an honor to be featuring so many entrepreneurs on the journeys of their inside voice, their accent that is not an accident. And we want to reach out more people like you who are creating a better world of diversity, inclusiveness, equity, and belonging. So please take a moment to hit the subscribe button below, like, and share to others. And even if you want to leave a comment, that'll be nice. Thank you for your support. And now back to the episode.
And I think corporately, business wise, helping another woman to find a position, to support her in the changing positions, um, to be able to say, take a moment, step back. You're you're losing your effectiveness, so you just need to take a half a day or whatever it is. We're not just saying show up, show up, show up.
Yes, which is very important, and this is one of the things that um, we have gone through years and years as women. And I love men. I'm married to one, so
Me too.
but and I am glad that now men are also waking up to it too. They are realizing, Jesus, we were really bad. We were like our predators were doing things not the right way for any human being. So before it was like, if you want to grow, but you're a mom in your career, there are less opportunities because you need to take your child, which is sick, you need to take them to school. But first of all, you need to take them to school. So you need to have a special schedule. Second, you need to take, you're the one who takes them to the doctor. You're the one who's taking the time off if they get sick, right? All of these as a mom. Now guys are stepping in and saying, okay, last time you did it, now this time I'm going to do it. And men are not as clueless as they used to be, that if I leave my child with the husband is not going to know what to feed them and to give them the medicine. So men are more stepping in, like, and I'm gonna praise on my husband. He's not gonna like it probably, but or maybe he will. So if he sees that I'm very, very busy and it's like almost 6 and I'm not coming out, he'll start dinner.
Mm-hmm.
No
And
ask.
that's we're a team.
Yes.
And I think that's what single parenting taught me. When one of the kids' sports was, 2 practices in the game or whatever it was, we started to divide up the responsibilities. And the rule in the house was, if it's your night to cook, and these are young teenagers I'm talking about, if it's your night to cook, it's our night to eat and say thank you. And that's it. No criticisms.
No criticism. Yes.
And
No.
now my son has 2 children. He owns his own business, and his wife just switched so that she's going in much earlier. And so now this is the young man that couldn't get out of bed by himself without me pushing, nudging, begging, pleading. And now he's the one who's getting the kids up, giving them breakfast, making the lunches, dropping them off, and he's the one on the side of the field coaching soccer. And it is different. Thank goodness for many of us, it is different, and it allows us to say, you know what, just as you said, there's a hat that you can take off. You do not have to be at the stove every night at 6 o'clock, and that's one hat that you can put to the side, and then it takes away some of the worry about the kids, and it also sets the example, and therein lies what I think we women really need to celebrate, is if we're showing up healthy, empowered, the role model that we are for our daughters or our sons is huge, and it makes the next generation coming along. And that, if you ask me why, and why, how many levels deep of my why, it is because I was a single parent. It's because I have 2 adult children. It's because I have 4 grandchildren. It's because I see what has happened to the stress of these young people that they are going through. And we have got to stay strong role models. And I think that's what we women are.
Yes, exactly. And then also, if we realize that we, like you were saying, we need to take off a hat and pass it on to our partner, or
Yes.
even if, like, my daughter, she's a teenager now. She is 17. So I almost say 16. She was 17. So,
It's
so
hard to keep track of those years.
yes. So she's 17 now, and she does her own breakfast in the morning. But it doesn't mean that I don't sit with her as well while she's
Sure.
eating. But she makes her own breakfast and she prepares everything. And And if she's hungry, she's now learning to cook. I think it's a little late, but she's now learning to cook and things like that. So sometimes you can also tell, if you're a single mom, you can also tell your kids, can you get the food started? I'm on my way. But can you get
Sure.
the food started? Like if it's pasta and meatballs, what do we eat? Then it's pasta and meatballs what we eat.
Right.
Exactly. Which is like the easiest thing to do for them. So take the overwhelm, taking the hard and pass it along, like you were saying, is taking that overwhelm away, because we don't have to be in charge of everything.
Right. Right. And there, there's a training that I went through called Positive Intelligence. And in that, they break down your saboteurs. And it's what undermines you. The interesting part, when you go through the science of it, is the saboteur was once your strength, but you overused and abused it. So you use the word control. So um, to be authentic and share my my number one saboteur. There's a bunch of them, but my number one was controller. Now, when I was a single parent working on 100% commission, raising two young kids, I needed to be a controller. But as they became stronger, I did not need to be a controller. And then moving into a business where I'm trying to help empower other women, they don't need me to tell them what to do. They just need me to open a door so that they can look at who they are. And this is one of the tools I use, positive intelligence, because it scientifically opens the door. So they don't have to spend hours ruminating on what's holding them back. It shows up. Now, that resistance may also show up. So I can tell you that when I opened that up and it said, I'm a controller, I said, no, I'm not. I don't do that anymore. Well, I still can be. I'm just more aware of it. And I'm more cautious of where I use it. Because if I use my controller in my coaching of other women, it creates resistance. So that's where I use empathy and my curiosity. And that allows the women to bloom. Just like, when we take a child and we allow them to learn to ride a bike and fall, that's empowering them. But we usually have to get a skin knee along the way.
Exactly. And that is a great example. Just to let them be, because at one point you cannot do everything for your kids. At one point they're
No.
going to be alone, so helping them with everything. I remember, and I think this is with every mom, when my mom will help her with everything, and I'm like, let her do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I got a step stool for my son so that, because the kids come to you and say, I need a uniform. My laundry isn't done. Oh, here's a step stool. Here's how you measure the detergent, and I know that you can't reach the bottom of the washing machine. So this stool will allow you. So you are now empowered to do your own laundry. And if your laundry isn't done and you have a game, then you're probably wearing a stinky uniform. So letting them understand that there's a consequence is okay. And it allows us, I think what happens is we first feel guilty. Oh, I didn't do the laundry. I wasn't there on time. No. It's okay to empower them, and if they don't fold their clothes and put them in the drawer the way you do, well, they'll find them, which is usually why a teenager's room looks that way, because they're everywhere.
Exactly. And then you also talk about something that is beautiful. You talk about the goddess within.
Mm-hmm.
What is that goddess within us?
that poor little goddess, she's been there from the very, very beginning. When we came into this world, we were given certain gifts and attributes. And then we're kind of burdened with the expectations of society, as we talked about in the beginning, the expectation of the mom or the teacher or whatever, and they load on and they load on, and so that goddess gets dustier and dustier and more buried, and that's why we feel the weight of it. That's why we feel the burnout of it, and so nobody has come along and said, let's dust her off and see what's inside. She's been in the back shelf. You don't remember that she's even there. You certainly don't remember her name. And you do not remember how beautiful she is and what a beautiful spirit she has. And so that's what I feel my passion is about. When you see a woman light up because she's recognized a gift within herself, that is the best gift for me. And then she can take that and she can go and share that light, share that joy. One of my favorite quotations is, an angel can fly because she takes herself lightly. And if we would take ourselves more lightly and celebrate and be that goddess energy, then it makes the world a better place. It makes our families better. It makes our workplace better. It's just better.
So recognizing your own gifts more than and the purpose, or is just basically our gifts, recognizing what we are really good at, what are the beautiful things about us.
Mm-hmm. If you ask a woman to name 3 things that she feels she's not good at, she can go click, click, click and name them instantly. If you ask her to tell you her 3 beautiful gifts, 3 wonderful things about her, she labors. And so one of the things that we can do is sit with ourselves and just make a list. You're empathetic, you're a beautiful friend, you're a great listener, you show up, and the list goes on. You have a great sense of humor, you always remember to send a card. That's one of my shortcomings.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of sit with ourselves. This Mother's Day, I wrote my daughter a letter, and it was all the things that I hope and believe in her, but all now as she moves into another season, all the things that I hope that she will either continue to do or do more effectively. And one of them is to laugh more, to take herself lightly more.
Yeah.
So we can gift our gifts.
That is so important, because we take sometimes, and that's probably one of my flaws, and you see that it's easier for a woman. I'm already saying a flaw faster than, but that's one of my flaws, that I don't, sometimes I don't take myself lightly enough, and I take things very seriously, and it has to be done, it has to be perfect, it has to, and because it has to be done, things need to be done, and you have all these excuses on why you are so rigid to yourself.
Yes. So there's my gift to you. I want you to go get yourself a little angel and put her near you, and so every time you look at that angel, you can say, oh, I didn't take myself lightly on that one. Let me see if I can do better. Because it's always the little incremental steps. It's not things that happen, overnight. And we need to take action. But as Tony Robbins says, perfection is the lowest level. And we need to be creative. We need to be curious. And we need to use what we call in positive intelligence, we call it our sage power. I call her my Wonder Woman, because even before all of this training, when I was that single mom, young kids, I would look in the mirror some days and say, it's going to be a big day. It's going to have a lot of challenges. I need to polish up my belt and I need to put my Wonder Woman outfit on. And so that's what I did mentally for myself. And I
Yes,
think that we need to have a superpower, whatever that is for you.
I
Whatever
love it.
whatever woman can picture that. Sometimes it's harder to picture our goddess as the power because we're not as in touch with her. But if we can create an image in our mind that empowers us and it's powerful but fun, bigger than life, it helps us.
And that is very important.
I actually have Wonder Woman right here.
Oh, I love it.
She lives on my desk, along with my starfish that's here to remind me that we can rejuvenate and regrow. And so I
Yes.
have all sorts of little things around me so that they talk to my subconscious pretty consistently.
Yes. So, and I love the way you talk about Wonder Woman because she's my heroine. And
Ooh.
yes, actually, for my business, the you're gonna laugh about this, but if you look at my business logo, not the podcast logo, my business logo is
Uh-huh.
the Wonder Woman shield.
We were meant to talk.
Yes. So you mentioned something very special, and that was my next question. What is coming up for Sandy? Tell us a little bit about that secret life of the starfish.
Well, as I said earlier on, the universe kind of draws us into spaces that we're meant to share our gifts. And coaching is very important to me because I want to empower women. But I've also been given some messages over the past year, maybe two, and it takes time sometimes before we hear the message, hear the encouragement. And so a year or so ago, walking along the beach, I heard this voice that said, it's about the starfish. So there's a starfish story that talks about the little boy on the beach and he's throwing a starfish and another starfish back into the ocean. And the older wise man said, you cannot save all those starfish. There's miles of starfish. And the little boy, as he tosses one back into the ocean, he said, well, it makes a difference to that starfish. And so once I had that inspiration, the next thing that came to me was The Secret Life of a Starfish was the name of my book. I began the book through an entrepreneurial um, training sessions and helping me to learn what all that meant. And so I wrote the first two chapters. They just kind of fell out of me. And then through this program, I learned how to write a business proposal, which was when we think about things in our lives that challenge us, that was a big challenge. And could the imposter syndrome have popped its ugly little head up? Oh, yes. But you just work through it and say, why would anybody want to read this little story, The Secret Life of a Starfish? Well, it's about the starfish that have come into my life, and what I have, how I've been able to be of service, what I've been able to offer, whose hand I might have held, and the lessons that they brought both me and them. And so that expands out into the society of women and men. So it's that's what The Secret Life of a Starfish is. It's all the little beautiful moments, stories that have helped to design me, and it's allowing my goddess to come out and shine for others. It talks about how we sabotage ourselves or what a woman that I coached went through, and those are the nuggets that we often don't give ourselves credit for.
Yes. I love the story of the starfish. It matters for that one.
That's right. I mean, I know that I can't touch every woman. You know that you can't be there for every moment of everybody's life. But in the moments that you sit next to your daughter and talk with her, those are the moments.
Yes, exactly. And you just said something that I would like to, you know, about talking about getting messages. I was gonna say something else, but just this last phrase that you said, um, the importance of having a daughter is not only to share with her moments as she's little, but is to understand that you just got a best friend for life. That child is not going to leave your side no matter how old you are and how old she is. And although it's a roller coaster, especially in the teenage years,
Especially.
um, you were one too. And remembering you as one of them and seeing how can you do better for her than you did for yourself is how you keep that relationship, but not to keep them from the world,
No.
but to teach them how to embrace the world.
And to learn lessons from them, because another way that we empower them to be able to listen and say, that has changed since I was your age. So help me to understand, enlighten me. And those are the moments that I think they start to realize their own strength and their own wisdom. And that helps them to make great choices. And that's our job.
Yeah.
Our job is not to be always their best friend. Our job is to help them to make great choices so that they don't, hopefully the hope is for me that they don't have to spend as much time finding that goddess, that she doesn't get as dusty, she doesn't stay on the back shelf as long.
Yes.
And that is one of the things that I want to do. That's why I wrote my daughter the letter, because she is doing more effectively taking care of herself than I did at that age. And I celebrate that. And I think that's what we're talking about, how to help our youth be vulnerable but strong, to be honest with speaking their voice, not the voice that we always want to hear, but their voice.
Exactly. Be and be empathic and be also diverse, be inclusive, help others belong, but also the most important is finding that belonging within.
Their authenticness. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. You're 100% right on.
So, Sandy, how do you help women? We talk about many things, but what is what is that you do? Can you tell our audience and how they can find
As we know, every woman is different, and her hurdles are going to be different, but we all have some common denominators, as we've talked about going through this. And mindset is at the base of how we interact with the world, how we see ourselves. So my job as a coach, my job in writing this story, my job is in doing a blog or doing a workshop. I'm always about, what can we do to open a door for you? What can you find more in yourself? And one of the things that I took for granted, and I've now decided is so important, is I give women 30 minutes to get on a Zoom call or on a regular call, like an old fashioned phone, literally, I'll let them talk with me. And within 30 minutes, I guarantee I can find a word or a phrase that is undermining them. And if I can give her the time to just find a new word, a new phrase, that is a big first step. And then we can decide what else might be good for her, whether it's a women's group or, whatever it might be. But I just took it for granted that people understood what negativity they were putting in their own subconscious mind. And I finally have come to the realization that my job is to say, let's dig this up. Let's find this, and let's find a better word. Let's find a better phrase. Let's find something that lights you up. And so that's one of the things that I am very focused on.
I love that. It is a beautiful purpose. It's a beautiful thing that you're doing for all women. And how can we find you?
The easiest way to find me is CoachSandyChat.com. So if you want to chat with Coach Sandi, you just go there and you'll get me. You'll get my website. You'll get my free gift on my website, which is some guided meditations and an ebook that's called Resistance to Resilience. Because when we go through the resistance as women, we do become more resilient. But I want them to enjoy the journey.
I absolutely love that conversation. Sandi, we have come to the end, but before we leave, I would like to ask you if you have any last thought that you will leave for our audience.
I would say, as I shared with you, to take ourselves more lightly so that we can fly higher, and to just go ahead and celebrate the beauty that is within you, because when you celebrate that, it shines out.
Amazing. And that is so insightful. So things that we talk about today, we need to find support systems for those parents and women that are single parents. It's okay to ask for help and realizing that others will be happy to help. You don't have to wear all the hats, and once in a while it's okay to take them off and pass them on. Mid-season women, remember, you are beautiful, you are wonderful, and you are at the best time of your life. So you have gained some wisdom, and you are learning more things like self-care. So don't forget about yourself. Don't forget about taking care of yourself. Learn to celebrate when you finish a task. Don't take on the next one, but celebrate what you have accomplished in lieu of having infinite list of things to do. Also, remember there are saboteurs that become controllers of your lives that can create resistance against you. So probably contact Sandi. She will help you find out what those are. And look within for that God is in you, what makes you and others happy, and recognize that gift that you have been given. Thank you so much for being with us today. Our audience, thank you, Sandi. I loved our conversation.
Thank you, and thank you for tying a beautiful ribbon around our conversation. You did it beautifully. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this circle.
Thank you so much. And remember, you are loved. You came to this world to be loved, and love one another. Until next time, bye.
Bye.
Hi, it's Maritza here. If you like this episode of My Accent is No Accident podcast and would like to listen more like this,
Subscribe wherever you're listening to it or watching it. Leave us a nice review and share with your friends, family, and network. Thanks for listening.